Welcome back to the deep dive. Today we are walking into the minefield.
We certainly are.
We are talking about the one thing everyone does every single day, and well, usually pretty poorly.
And often with just disastrous consequences.
Exactly. We are talking about communication, but we aren't talking about how to give a TED talk or something.
Right. This isn't about public speaking.
No. We are talking about what is essentially a survival guide for the modern workplace.
Yeah, we are diving into Speak Smart, Make Your Mark by Dean Shams. And I have to be honest, when I first picked this up, my first thought was, oh, great, here we go.
Another one.
Another book telling me to, just smile more and make better eye contact.
What was the verdict?
I was completely wrong. This is not a manual on how to be nice. Not at all.
Okay.
It's more like a field guide for navigating insane office politics, dealing with people who are, let's be honest, absolute sociopaths sometimes.
We've all met them.
And getting what you want without turning into the office villain yourself.
See, that's what drew me in, too. Specifically, the promise it makes right there on the cover about handling sticky situations.
Which is such a polite corporate euphemism, isn't it?
It totally is.
It means those moments where you want to scream at your coworker, but you remember you have a mortgage to pay.
Yes. That is exactly what it means. And Shams, the author, he kicks off the entire book with a quote from Isaac Newton, of all people. And it just sets the stage for the whole philosophy. Newton said, "Tact is the art of making a point without making an enemy."
It's such a heavy sentence when you really stop and unpack it.
It is.
Because usually we think we only have two choices, right? Choice A, I make my point, I steamroll you, and now you're my enemy.
Right.
Or choice B, I don't make an enemy, but I also don't make my point. I become a doormat.
The binary trap. You're either a shark or you're chum.
Exactly. And Shams is arguing for a third way. And this is where the book got really interesting for me. Like right on page 1, he doesn't start with, here are the magic words to say.
No, he doesn't.
He starts with the hardware. He starts with the human brain.
Okay, hang on. I need to pause on this because this was the first moment in the book where I actually physically wrote really in the margin.
I know exactly what you're going to say.
He throws out this statistic about 134 bits.
The processing limit?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He claims that our brains receive 2 million bits of information every single second through our senses, but we can only consciously process 134 bits. I mean, that sounds like one of those, pap psychology numbers that gets thrown around on a LinkedIn post.
It does sound kind of made up.
Are we really saying the human brain, this biological supercomputer, is literally capping out at the speed of a dial-up modem?
It does sound ridiculous, doesn't it? But this actually comes from some pretty solid research on states and attention.
Oh, really?
Yeah, famously by Csikszentmihalyi. The biology itself is the bottleneck. Your eyes, your ears, they're scooping up millions of bits of data like, right now, the hum of the AC, the color of the walls, the smell of coffee, the frown on your boss's face.
All of it.
All of it. But the conscious processing center, the part of you that is actually listening to my voice right now, it's strictly limited.
So if I'm in some high-stakes negotiation and I think I'm reading the room perfectly...
No, mostly hallucinating. That's the scary part of it.
Wow.
To survive that insane data bottleneck, your brain basically writes a script. It's based on all your past experiences, your beliefs, your biases. It's a concept called predictive processing.
Okay.
And Shams breaks this down into 3 simple filters that our brains use. We delete, we distort, and we generalize.
Walk me through those, because honestly, this feels like it explains every single argument I've ever had with another human being.
Okay, let's take a simple workplace scenario. You send a big report to your boss. An hour later, he walks past your desk and he doesn't make eye contact.
Okay, my stomach just dropped even hearing that.
Right. So filter number 1 kicks in, deletion. You might completely delete the fact that he was walking really fast and staring down at his phone while he walked.
I wouldn't even register that.
Your brain just drops that data. It doesn't fit the emerging narrative, which is probably a negative one.
Okay.
Then comes filter 2, distortion. You distort the actual event. He didn't see me, morphs into he ignored me.
Which is a totally different thing. One is passive, the other is an active choice he made.
Precisely. And then the final blow, filter 3, generalization. You make a huge sweeping rule based on that one distorted event.
So it becomes.
He hates the report. In fact, he hates my work. He's always ignoring me. I'm probably getting fired.
And all of that happens in, what, a split second?
It's instantaneous. By the time you consciously think, my boss is a jerk, you assume that thought is an objective fact about the world.
But it's not.
It's not. It's a highly edited, heavily distorted reality that your brain constructed from just 134 bits of data out of 2 million.
That is genuinely terrifying. It basically means that two people can be in the exact same meeting, hear the exact same words spoken, and walk out with two completely different, mutually exclusive realities of what just happened.
Exactly. And that's Shams's whole point. Speaking smart isn't about choosing fancier words. It's about realizing that the person you're talking to is also running on their own hallucination.
Right.
So your job isn't just to speak. It's to try and break through their filter. If you don't understand their filter, their biases, their stories, you're just making noise.
Okay, so the mission for this deep dive, then, is to take that fundamental awareness that we are all basically operating on a personalized hallucination and apply it to the actual frameworks that Shams provides.
Yeah, let's do it.
We're going to dissect the different communication styles, the verbal toolkit he offers, and my personal favorite, the workplace bestiary of difficult people.
The bestiary is so good. Let's start with the styles, though, because before you can even think about fixing how you talk, you have to diagnose what you're currently doing.
Right. The self-awareness piece.
And Shams outlines a spectrum, basically, from passive on one end to aggressive on the other.
I think we all kind of intuitively know the extremes.
We do. On one end, you have the passive style. The book calls this the I lose, you win mentality.
The peacekeeper. The person who will do anything to avoid conflict.
Or, let's be real about it, the doormat.
Yeah.
These are the people who consistently prioritize everyone else's needs and feelings above their own. They apologize for taking up space. You know the type.
Oh, yeah. Sorry to bother you, but I might be totally wrong about this, but...
All that hedging language. And I think a lot of people, maybe most people, view that as just being nice, being polite.
Yeah, it is nice. Until it destroys you from the inside out.
That's the cost, right? The cost of passive communication is almost entirely internal. You swallow every grievance, your self-esteem slowly erodes, and eventually you just burn out completely.
Then you flip to the other side of the spectrum. You have the aggressive style.
The I win, you lose person.
The steamroller.
The office bully. This person prioritizes their needs and their opinions above absolutely everyone else's. They interrupt constantly. They dominate conversations.
They use a lot of you statements, which I know we're going to get to.
Tons of you statements. And look, they get what they want in the short term. They absolutely do.
But they burn the village down to do it. The long-term cost is relationships, trust, everything.
Exactly. Now, here is where it gets a little sticky, because I think most of us listening are probably sitting there thinking, well, okay, I'm not a bully and I'm not a doormat, so I must be fine.
Right, but there's a third style, the speaky style.
Yes, the passive-aggressive. Shams calls this person the sniper.
And I feel like we always villainize this person. But I want to push back on Shams just a little bit here. I want to play devil's advocate for a second.
Okay.
Isn't passive aggression sometimes just a survival tactic? I mean, if you have a tyrant for a boss, a total aggressive type, and you know you can't speak up directly without getting fired, isn't a little passive aggression your only available outlet, your only form of resistance?
That is a really, really fair point. And actually, the book does touch on this. Often, the sniper is just a doormat who has finally reached their breaking point.
But they still don't have the tools.
They lack the tools, or maybe more importantly, they lacked the psychological safety to be direct. So it's like their assertiveness has curdled.
Right. It's resistance without taking on the direct risk.
But here's the problem with it. Even if it feels like a necessary safety valve for you, it destroys trust in a team faster than even open aggression does.
Why do you think that is? Faster than aggression?
Because it's sabotage disguised as compliance. It's fundamentally dishonest. It's the person who says, no, I'm fine, while slamming the cabinet door.
It's the person who agrees to the deadline in the meeting with a big smile, but then forgets to do a critical piece of the work.
Or the absolute classic, CCing the boss on an email to keep everyone in the loop, when what you're really doing is trying to get your coworker in trouble.
It's a form of gaslighting, really.
It is. Because if you're aggressive with me, at least I know where you stand. I might not like it, but I can defend myself.
The threat is visible.
Exactly. If you're passive-aggressive, you are denying there is even a fight while you're actively shooting at me from the bushes. You become impossible to help because you deny you even need help in the first place.
Okay, so if passive is a doormat, aggressive is a tank, and passive-aggressive is a sniper.
Oh.
That's a little. It's the fourth style, the gold standard.
The gold standard is the assertive style. And Shams has a great term for it. He calls it clean communication.
Clean. I like that word. It implies no residue, no mess left
But
behind.
that's exactly. The mindset behind it is, I am okay and you are okay.
Not I win, you lose, or I lose, you win.
It's we can both be okay here. It's about stating your needs, your wants, and your opinions clearly and respectfully without attacking the other person's character or intelligence.
How do we actually do that? Because I feel like be assertive is a really easy advice to give from a podcast microphone. But it's incredibly hard advice to take when your heart is pounding in a tense meeting and you feel your status is on the line.
Totally. And that's where the book moves from theory to practice. Shams gives us what he calls a verbal toolkit.
Okay.
These are like tiny micro adjustments in the language you use that can shift you out of those other three styles and into the assertive one.
So what's the first tool in the box?
The first one is the big one. It's the I message versus the you message.
This feels like relationship therapy 101. I feel does this stuff actually work in a boardroom?
It works especially well in a boardroom, and the reason is all about status management.
Okay, explain that.
Think about the biology again, the brain stuff we started with. If I say to you, you are wrong, or you messed up this spreadsheet, or even just you are being lazy, what happens inside your brain? What's your immediate gut reaction?
I get defensive. My hackles go up instantly. It feels like an attack.
Because it is. Your amygdala, the threat detection part of your brain, perceives an attack. You statements sound like accusations.
Is that like a judge handing down a verdict?
Exactly. You are lazy is a direct attack on your character. And when the amygdala hijacks the brain, your prefrontal cortex, the logic center, it basically shuts down.
You can't think straight.
You literally cannot process what I'm saying anymore. You've stopped listening and you started planning your counterattack.
So the I statement is really about disarming that primal threat response before it even happens.
That's it exactly. Instead of you are wrong, which directly challenges your intelligence and your status, I say, I don't agree.
It's subtle.
It's a huge difference. I'm stating a fact about what's going on inside my mind, not a judgment about what's going on inside your mind.
Okay, another example. Instead of, you are so lazy.
You say, I feel frustrated when the work takes longer than we expected.
See, that one's hard for me. I feel frustrated. It feels vulnerable to say that at work.
It is vulnerable, but it's also completely unarguable.
What do you mean?
If I say, you are lazy, you can immediately argue back, no, I'm not. You don't know my workload.
Right.
But if I say I feel frustrated, you cannot argue with my feeling. It's my feeling. It's an undeniable truth.
And it forces the conversation.
It forces the conversation to be about the problem, which is the timeline, rather than about the person, your supposed laziness.
That's a powerful shift.
Oh.
Okay, let's look at the next tool from the kit. This is one that I am definitely 100% guilty of using all the time. The but eraser.
Ah, yes. The dreaded but. Shams calls this a mental delete button.
We do this all the time, right?
Yeah.
I think your idea for the project is really creative, but it's way too expensive.
And what's the only part of that sentence the other person actually hears?
It's way too expensive.
Exactly. The word but functions as a cognitive negator. It sends a signal to the brain that says, hey, ignore everything that came before this word. Here comes the real message.
And it makes the praise, the compliment at the beginning, it makes it feel manipulative, like a setup for the punch.
It feels like a Trojan horse for criticism.
So what's the fix? Because sometimes ideas are too expensive. We can't just lie and say, great idea, and then bankrupt the company.
And no, you don't lie. You use a technique from improv comedy, actually. It's the yes and technique, or what I like to call the power pause.
Okay, yes and.
You just swap the word but for the word and.
So I think your idea is creative, and at the same time, we need to find a way to bring the budget down.
How does that feel different when you say it?
It feels collaborative. It feels like both things can be true.
It allows two truths to exist simultaneously in the same conversation. The idea is creative, and it's expensive. One doesn't cancel out the other.
Okay, now what's the power pause?
The power pause is like a verbal kung fu move. It's very advanced.
Right.
Instead of connecting the two statements at all, you separate them with silence. You say, I think your idea is really creative, and then you pause. You shut up for a second.
You let the praise land.
You let it land. You let it settle in their brain. And then as a separate thought, you say, going forward, we're going to need to look at the budget implications of this.
Oh, I really feel the difference there. You're not connecting them with a but or an and. You're letting the praise be its own complete thing, and then you're issuing a separate directive.
It preserves the status and the truth of both statements. And it stops you from sounding like you're just sandwiching insults between two pieces of fake praise.
There's another little language tweak in this section that I thought was fascinating, especially when it comes to status. And that's the difference between help versus support.
This is so subtle, but it's so powerful. Sham suggests that in a professional setting, you should be really, really careful about asking for help.
Why? What's wrong with asking for help?
The word help often implies helplessness. It can sound like, I'm drowning, please save me. It unconsciously lowers your status. It can suggest to others that you can't actually do your job.
So if I'm totally overwhelmed with a project, I shouldn't go to my boss and ask for help.
You should go to your boss and ask for support.
I need your support on this project.
See, it feels different. Support implies collaboration. It implies structure. It implies I am holding this very heavy thing and I need you to come lift it with me, not please take this from me because I am too weak to hold it.
It maintains your agency. You're still in control. You're just bringing in resources.
Exactly. It's a leader's word, not a victim's word.
Okay, this is all great. Let's move to maybe the hardest practical application of assertiveness, the absolute nightmare scenario for anyone who hates conflict.
Saying no.
Saying no. The yes trap. We say yes because we want to be liked, or we have FOMO, or we're just terrified of that awkward silence after you turn someone down.
And Shams has a brilliant, simple framework for this. He calls it the ART of the positive no.
Let's break this down with a really concrete scenario. Let's say the CEO comes to my desk. It's 4 p.m. on a Friday.
Oh, no?
He wants me to completely redo a 50-slide deck for a board meeting on Monday morning. I have plans this weekend. I am not doing it.
The ultimate high stakes? No.
How do I use ART to say no to the CEO and not get fired?
Okay. High stakes, but the framework holds. First, A stands for acknowledge.
Okay.
You cannot just lead with a flat no, that's aggressive. You have to first validate their request to show them that you're on the same team, that you're not an enemy.
So I'd say something like, I understand this deck is crucial for the Monday board meeting, and I really appreciate you trusting me with it.
Perfect. You've bought yourself a second. You haven't agreed to anything, but you also haven't attacked or rejected him. You've aligned with his goal.
Okay, what's next?
Next is R for rationalize. You need to give a brief reason, and the key word here is brief.
Don't over-explain.
Do not over-explain. Don't show him your concert tickets. Don't tell him about your cousin's wedding. Just a simple professional boundary.
I have prior commitments this weekend that I'm unable to move.
That's it. That is all you need to say.
I think that's the part where most people crumble. They feel like prior commitments isn't a good enough reason to say no to the CEO of the company.
I don't want to is a perfectly valid internal reason, but I have commitments is the professional external boundary. You do not need to justify your personal time to your boss.
Okay. And then the final step.
And then the genius part, the T transfer. This is the pivot that saves the relationship.
Ah, so you don't just leave them hanging with your no.
Never. You transfer the request. You move it to another time or another person or another solution.
So I can't do it this weekend, but I can come in at 6 a.m. on Monday morning to get it finished.
Or, I can't do it, but maybe we can ask Sarah from the design team if she has capacity. Her slides are amazing.
So you aren't just shutting the door in their face, you're pointing them towards a different open window.
Exactly. You are still being helpful, or to use our new word, supportive, without sacrificing your own boundary. You're solving their problem, just not on their initial terms.
But what if he pushes back? You know how this goes. Come on, be a team player. It'll only take you 2 hours.
Then you deploy the secret weapon. It's called the broken record technique. Most people, when they get pushed on a no, they make a critical mistake. They try to invent a new excuse.
Right. Well, and also my car is making a funny noise. And my dog hasn't been feeling well.
And all that does is it gives the bully or the pushy person new surface area to attack.
Oh, I'll call you an Uber. I know a great vet.
Exactly. They start problem solving your excuses. Do not give them new data. You simply, calmly, and politely repeat the exact same phrase you used before.
Word for word.
Word for word. I understand it's urgent, but as I said, I have prior commitments this weekend that I cannot move.
And if he says, really?
Yeah.
You're going to leave me hanging like this?
I really want to support the team on this, and I have prior commitments that I cannot move.
It feels so robotic. It feels really awkward.
It feels robotic to you because you're in the hot seat. To them, it feels like they're running into a calm, polite brick wall.
Ah.
Eventually, they realize the energy cost of arguing with you is higher than the potential benefit, and they move on to find another solution. You have to remember, no is a complete sentence.
I love that. Don't give them new surface area to attack. That's a great takeaway. Okay, let's flip the script. That's how to stop people from dumping work on you. How do you get other people to do what you want them to do?
Without yelling.
Without yelling. Shams has another one of these models for making making requests called DESO.
Right. This is for when you need to get compliance from a subordinate or even just a messy colleague without escalating it into a big drama.
The book uses the classic disgusting office fridge example, which is great. But let's use something a little harder. Let's talk about scope creep.
Ah, yes. The silent project killer.
You have a client, or maybe just another department you're working with, who keeps adding little things to a project, but the deadline never changes.
While you're at it, can you just...
Right?
The worst.
How do you use DESO to stop them?
Okay. Describe. You have to start by stating the facts of the situation. Remove all judgment, all emotion, all blame.
So don't say, you keep changing the plan and it's driving me crazy.
No, that's a you statement. It's an attack. You say, since our kickoff meeting on Tuesday, we have added 3 new features to the project scope.
Just the hard facts, like a camera would see it.
Exactly. Then e-express. Now you get to state your feeling, but you have to own it by using an I statement.
So I am concerned that this is diluting our focus from the core objective.
Or, I feel anxious about being able to deliver a high-quality product with these new additions in the current timeline.
Okay, so describe, express. What's S?
Specify. This is where most managers and leaders fail. They're too vague.
They say something like, we really need to stop adding new things.
Which is useless. It's not a specific action. You need to specify a concrete, measurable action. I need us to agree to freeze the project scope as of today at 5 p.m.
Very specific. No room for interpretation. And then the last letter, O, outcome.
Right. You have to state the consequence, the if, then, and it can be a positive or a negative outcome.
So, if we freeze the scope now, I'm confident we can hit the launch date with an excellent product. If we continue to add more features, we will miss the launch date.
Exactly. And that outcome part is so crucial because it's not a threat. You're not saying, do this or else.
No, it's a prediction. It's a statement of reality.
It's just physics. If we do X, then Y will happen. And Shams makes this great point that ambiguity is the mortal enemy of accountability. If you say, can you stop adding stuff ASP? They will interpret ASAP as soon as I prefer, not as soon as possible.
Right.
But if you say freeze the scope at 5 p.m. today, there is 0 wiggle room. Everyone knows the rule.
Ambiguity is the enemy of accountability.
Mm-hmm.
That needs to be on a coffee mug in every office in the world.
It really does.
Okay, so we have the toolkit. We know how to talk. Now we need to enter the arena.
Here we go.
We are going to talk about the workplace bestiary. Shams identifies the 5 people you meet in workplace hell.
I think we have all met all 5 of these people, and usually in the same meeting.
Yes. Let's run through them, and more importantly, the strategies for how to defeat them. Like a boss battle guide in a video game.
I love it. Okay, who's first?
First up, the big one, the bully.
The bully. Their main weapons are intimidation, volume, and anger. They explode to get their way, and what they want more than anything is a reaction.
What kind of reaction?
They want you to either cower and shrink, which makes them feel powerful, or they want you to fight back and yell at them, which justifies their anger and makes you look like the crazy one.
So it's a trap either way.
It's a total trap. And the strategy to beat them is completely counterintuitive. Remove the audience.
What does that mean exactly?
Bullies are performers. They perform for a crowd. If a bully yells at you in a big meeting, they are putting on a show to establish dominance over you and everyone else watching.
So you don't fight back.
You do not engage the content of their screaming. You don't argue about the spreadsheet. You maintain calm eye contact. Don't look down. That's the submissive gesture. And you use a calm I statement.
I feel disrespected when I'm spoken to this way.
Perfect. I am going to step out of this meeting now. We can continue this conversation when things are calm. And then this is the real power move. You get up and you leave.
You just walk out of the meeting with everyone watching.
You walk out, you remove the target. Without a target to scream at and without an audience to perform for, the bully just looks like a lunatic shouting at an empty chair.
Wow.
You have just set a powerful boundary that says, I do not negotiate with terrorists.
That is definitely high risk, high reward. Okay. Bestiary creature number 2. The know-it-all snob.
Ugh. The name dropper, the person who actually says the word actually in every third sentence.
We all know one.
These people thrive on feeling smarter and more important than everyone else in the room. So if you try to argue facts with them, they'll just dig in deeper and try to humiliate you. If you try to impress them, they'll just one-up you with a story about that time they had dinner with Elon Musk.
So what's the strategy?
Complete and total indifference.
You kill them with boredom.
You kill their momentum. You give their ego nothing to push against. When they go on some long monologue about a topic they're an expert in, you just look at them, nod, and say, "Good for you."
Oh, that's brutal.
Or "That's a really interesting perspective."
Good for you. It's so polite on the surface, and yet it is so utterly devastating.
It gives them nothing. It's like verbal aikido. You just step aside and you let them fall over their own massive ego.
Number 3 in the bestiary, the naysayer, the victim, the professional complainer.
The energy vampire. Everything here is broken. Nothing ever works. Management is stupid. This company is doomed.
They just want to drag you down into their misery pit with them. They want you to join their pity party.
Right. And the huge mistake that most nice people make is they sympathize. They say, "Oh, yeah, that really sucks. You're right."
Don't do that.
Do not sympathize. Sympathy is their fuel. It validates and feeds their sense of victimhood.
So what do you do instead? Just stare at them blankly.
You pivot immediately to practical, boring problem solving, and you only do it once.
So they say, "My boss is a moron," and I say,
That sounds frustrating. Have you tried talking to HR about getting a team transfer?
and they will of course say yes, but that will never work because,
Yeah.
and give you 10 reasons why.
And at that moment, you stop. You hold up your hands and you say, "Well, that's all I've got, sorry." And you physically turn back to your work. You refuse to be their free therapist. You cut off the supply of sympathy.
Number 4, the disengaged, the invisible team member.
The dead weight. They don't really cause active trouble. They just don't contribute anything, ever.
They're just taking up a slot on the org chart.
Right. And the strategy here is what the book calls forced engagement. You cannot let them hide in the back of the Zoom call with their camera off.
So you call on them directly.
You call on them directly, by name, in front of the group. "Steve, we haven't heard from you yet. What's your take on the Q3 numbers?" You make it impossible for them to remain invisible. You force them to participate.
And finally, the boss level. We've touched on this one already. The passive-aggressive sniper.
This is the hardest one to deal with by far, because their entire strategy relies on plausible deniability.
Right, but I was just joking. Or, "Wow, you're way too sensitive."
Exactly. They stab you and then act shocked that you're bleeding. The only way to win this fight is to shine the light.
You have to call out the meta message. You have to talk about what's happening under the words.
Yes. Give me a scenario.
Okay, they make a snide, sarcastic comment about my project in a team meeting.
You stop the entire meeting, you turn, you look at them directly, and you say calmly, "You seem upset with my suggestion."
Not, "You're being a jerk," or "That was a mean comment."
No, because that's a you attack. You say, "You seem upset." You're describing their behavior. Now, they will absolutely deny it. They'll say, "No, I'm fine. It was just a joke."
But the damage is done.
The damage to them is done because now they know that you know what they're doing. You have stripped away their camouflage in front of everyone. If you do this consistently, they learn that their sniper tactics don't work on you, and they usually move on to an easier target.
It really is like turning on the lights in the kitchen to scatter the roaches.
Precisely.
Okay, we are moving into our next segment. We absolutely need to talk about feedback, giving it and getting it.
Yes.
Shams calls this clean, corrective feedback. And he has a rule here that I honestly wish every single manager I've ever had would tattoo on their forehead.
I know which one you mean. Rule #1. Never, ever, under any circumstances, say the words, "I have some feedback for you," or "We need to talk."
My stomach literally drops just hearing you say those words. It triggers that deep, primal, "you're being called to the principal's office" trauma.
It triggers an immediate cortisol spike. It induces panic. By the time you actually get to the meeting, the employee is already in fight or flight mode. Their brain is not capable of learning.
So what do you see instead?
You lower the stakes. You contextualize it immediately. Don't make it a mystery. Say, "Hey, I have some pointers for you on that report you sent," or "I want to discuss the project timeline for a few minutes."
You make it about the work, not about the person or the relationship.
Exactly. Now, rule #2, you must kill the feedback sandwich.
Ah, the old compliment, criticism, compliment method.
"Hey, Bob, you're a really great guy. You totally missed the deadline and cost us the client, but I love your shoes."
Why is this bad? On the surface, it seems like a nice, gentle way to deliver bad news.
It's just confusing. Smart employees see right through it, and it feels manipulative. And less aware, employees leave the meeting thinking, wow, my boss thinks I'm a great guy and he loves my shoes. They completely miss the actual criticism.
Or worse, they become conditioned.
Yes. Every time you compliment them in the future, they physically flinch because they're just waiting for the butt to drop. It completely destroys the value of all your future praise.
So the answer is just to be direct.
Be direct and always focus on the behavior, not the personality.
Not you are sloppy.
But I noticed there were several typos on page 3 of the report. You can fix a typo in a report. You can easily fix sloppy as a personality trait.
Okay, now what about the other side of the coin? Receiving criticism. Because even if our boss is great at giving it, it still stings to get it. Especially if it's a vague personal attack like, you're just weird or you're difficult to work with.
For this, Sham suggests a brilliant technique called the really technique.
Okay.
It's a form of verbal judo. When someone makes one of those vague, unhelpful attacks, you lean into it and you ask for specific details.
So if they say, you're difficult to work with, I say, really? What exactly is difficult about my working style?
Or, can you give me a specific example of how that behavior affects the project outcomes? You force them to explain the unexplainable.
And what usually happens?
Usually they can't. They stammer, they look foolish, or they're forced to admit that they were just being mean or were in a bad mood. It exposes the complete lack of substance in their so-called criticism.
And what if they do have a specific valid answer? Like, well, you tend to interrupt people in meetings before they're finished talking.
And that's great. That's not an insult anymore. That is useful data.
Right.
You can take that data, you can separate yourself from your work, and you can choose to improve that behavior. But you've successfully stripped away the emotional insult and turned it into a practical data point.
We are coming into the home stretch here. I want to talk about apologies and compliments.
2 things people are terrible at.
So bad. Shams talks about the AAA apology.
Because most apologies are just complete trash. They're non-apologies. I'm sorry if you felt hurt.
Ugh, that's the worst one.
It puts all the blame on the other person's feelings. It's a way of saying, I'm sorry you have such sensitive feelings.
So what's the AAA?
This is a simple 3-part formula.
You have to specifically name what you did wrong. I know I embarrassed you in the meeting today when I cut you off.
A simple, direct apology. I am sorry for being rude. No ifs or buts.
This is the most important part. You have to assure them it won't happen again. In the future, I will make sure to wait until you are finished speaking before I jump in.
That assure part really is the missing link in most apologies, isn't it?
It is. It promises a concrete change in your future behavior. Without that, an apology is just noise. It's just a selfish attempt to say, please stop being mad at me now.
Okay, and finally, compliments. The main rule here seems to be, just don't be creepy.
Yes, that is a very good baseline for all workplace interactions.
The book says to avoid physical compliments in the workplace, just don't do it. The risk-to-reward ratio is just terrible.
It really is. And if you absolutely must compliment someone's outfit, you have to pivot immediately back to a work topic.
So that's a sharp-looking dress. Now, about those Q3 report numbers.
Exactly. It sends a clear signal that says, I noticed you as a person, but my focus here is on your mind and your professional contribution.
We have covered a massive amount of ground here. From the 134 bits of human perception all the way to the positive no and dealing with the entire workplace bestiary. But I want to zoom out for the ending here, because there is a darker, more challenging implication in Sham's work that I think we haven't fully wrestled with yet.
You're talking about the concept of the architecture of hell.
Yeah, it's the idea that if you are surrounded by assholes all the time, you might just be the architect of that situation.
It's the hardest pill to swallow in the whole book, without a doubt. Shams argues that we teach people how to treat us.
It sounds a lot like victim blaming, though, doesn't it? If my boss is a bully, are you saying that's my fault?
It really feels like it on the surface. But look at it through the cold, hard lens of behaviorism.
Okay.
Every time you silently accept a vague, impossible deadline, you're teaching your boss that your time doesn't matter. Every single time you let a passive-aggressive snide comment slide because you just want to keep the peace, you are actively rewarding that behavior. You are signing their permission slip to do it again.
So if there's a bully in my life, my silence is actually their fuel.
Precisely. If you never, ever say no, you are teaching the people around you that you are not a person. You are a vending machine. They push the button, a yes comes out.
That is deeply uncomfortable to think about.
Growth usually is. The 1% rule that Shams talks about at the end isn't just about getting a little better at talking. It's about slowly, methodically, and patiently retraining the people around you how to behave.
You don't transform from a doormat to a CEO overnight.
No chance.
Yeah.
You just aim for a 1% improvement. You catch yourself? He has this acronym, ABC, always be catching.
Catching what?
Catch the but before it comes out of your mouth. Catch the automatic yes when you really mean no. Catch the silence when you know you should have spoken up. Each catch is a tiny victory.
So the provocative thought for everyone listening then is this. Take a second and look at the workplace villain in your own life right now. The bully, the sniper, the steamroller, whoever it is. And ask yourself one honest question. What have I done in the last 30 days that rewarded their bad behavior?
And once you have that answer,
Yeah.
just stop doing it.
On that bombshell, we are wrapping up this deep dive. Stop teaching people to interrupt you. Go practice your positive no and go make your mark.
Speak smart, everyone.
Thanks for listening. We'll catch you in the next one.